Hey everybody, Kat here. Welcome to the channel. Hope you're having a great day. Today we are going to be talking about Diana, Princess of Wales. Diana Spencer. The Honourable Diana Spencer was born on July 1st, 1961 on the Sandringham estate. Her parents, Francis Roche Spencer and John Spencer, 8th Earl Spencer, going back centuries. The Spencers were toadies of the crown, always at their service. Diana has more English blood in her than any royal for centuries. She carried royal bloodlines of all the English kings and also of the Merovingian lines. Diana's DNA would have been like a calling card for the royals. All these elites, they're all into that. The Rothschilds, you see, they all intermarry and all of that kind of thing. And the Windsors needed it. The current royals of Windsors. They were once known as the House of Saxe-Coburg-Gotha. They're German. Diana was never a commoner. She was a titled aristocrat from birth. She grew up adjacent to the royals at Sandringham in her early years, and then they moved to Althorp, the family estate. And you know, the more I look at this, I'm more and more convinced that Diana was handpicked. Perhaps pretty early on. Think about it. Royalty, the aristocrats, the elite, they're always concerned with the bloodlines. Keep it in the family. Intermarriage between, these elite families. They marry within their family groups. We know this. Now, Diana didn't have a happy childhood. In 1967, her mother, Frances, left Johnny Spencer for Peter Shand Kidd, the wallpaper magnate, whom she had met a year before. 1 year after that, they were divorced, and Diana was shipped off to boarding school. Her father maintained custody, and by this time, there was just Diana and her little brother, Charles, at home. The older girls were already, off at university. So it left Diana just really bereft and shipped off on her own. But now this affair was not the first for Frances. Before Diana came along, she'd had an affair with Sir James Goldsmith. This was well known and tolerated by the elite circles they all ran in. It lasted for like a decade. It's widespread belief in certain circles that Diana is in fact the daughter of Sir James. So widely believed that even the press has weighed in. To quote the Irish Independent, the circumstantial evidence that Diana is Sir James' daughter is certainly there. And as always, with circumstantial evidence, it is seductive. It goes on. The physical evidence in this age of cosmetic enhancement should be the least compelling argument. Though if Diana, as it's claimed, bears an uncanny resemblance to Jemima Goldsmith, can Sir James's daughter by his wife, Annabel, she could be the twin of his son, Jack. If this is true, if it's true, it would be at least for once confirm what the royals have claimed for centuries. that they can trace their bloodline back to King David. Oh yeah, this confirmed by God to reign, the divine right of kings, all that stuff, that's where they get all that from. A confirmation of their authority. Not that they would advertise this to the wider public, but they know it, and that's all that matters. Can you imagine if this were ever to be acknowledged as true? Before anything, this would make Diana Jewish, and because the Jewish line is passed through the mother, it would also make William Jewish. A Jewish king? Square that with an already weak Church of England, as King William will be the supreme governor of the church, and we know already that he doesn't even have the same personal connection to the church that his grandmother had. Charles's turn seems more to Islam than anything else in recent years. So, this all goes on. The church will drop even more in relevance. But there's more. If you're here, you know that I like a conspiracy. Well, the thing about a conspiracy is that the rate at which they come true is truly astounding. William Arthur Philip Louis. Did you know Charles has an Arthur in his name as well? I find it interesting that they both carry the name of a mythical figure. But then again, the British monarchy has always been intimately interwoven with mythology. I've talked about this before. We all know the legend of King Arthur, Knights of the Round Table, all that. Story goes back to, I think, the 13th century or something, then had a revival again in the 16th. Stories were written and the myth grew. There's actually been a handful of research academics, serious academics, that have looked at it in a historical context and have come to the conclusion that there may have been a real King Arthur centuries ago. We have all the elements of a myth coming to life in our time. It really seems to be a theme of this channel of mine, history repeating itself, historical overlays, they just keep popping up, and deeper down the rabbit hole we go. Imagine this. William is king. The king the public's been waiting for. Think of it, since the queen. He comes to the throne, and I think sooner than later. If you've been following me, you know my thoughts on that. Now, he comes to the throne, and through Charles and his mother both use their given names as monarch, Charles and Elizabeth. It isn't necessary. Another name could be chosen, as in the case of Queen Elizabeth's father, Albert, who took the name King George VI. What if William chooses his second name and calls himself King Arthur? Can you imagine? This is a power move. The mythology of that whole story has been bred in the bone for the Brits for centuries. People would feel it. This would be the moment that myth meets reality. We have all the elements of the myth here right in front of our eyes. Get this. The legendary King Arthur has a character named Mordred. Some say an illegitimate son. Some accounts of the legend call him a nephew, and some versions call him a brother. who worked to undermine and betray Arthur. Oh my gosh, historical overlays all over the place. Everywhere we look. Who does that sound like? And a traitorous brother is not the only familiar face. Oh no. Oh no, remember when Diana was talking in one interview, she was talking about William as being a future king, and she said, he'll be Arthur and I will be his Merlin. Well, she never lived to see his reign, but she'll eternally be the Lady in the Lake. Hope you enjoyed this one. Leave me a comment. Let me know what you're thinking about. And like, subscribe, hit that notification button, and we will see you next time. Bye for now.